Tell me all your thoughts on God, 'cause I'd really like to meet her and ask her why we're who we are. And tell me all your thoughts on God, 'cause I'm on my way to see her. So tell me, am I very far? Am I very far now? Am I very far now?
Hey everybody! Okay, so the lighting was better in the other room the first time I did this, but oh well, who cares? I realized, give me a second. I realized that the first time I did this tag video, or attempted it, I forgot some questions, and my hair was all a mess, and my hair is still a mess because it's so freaking hot today, on this lovely Beltane day. But I'm staying in the AC today. I mean, it is outrageously warm. But, so I missed some questions and made a few other mistakes that I just didn't want to do. So I actually got the video completely uploaded, and I was trying to be super quick about it. And so this time, I'm just gonna take my time, and we'll see where it gets us this time. So, I am doing the first tag that was created by Madame Luna, and if you see me looking down here, it's because most of my information is down here. I'm not going to forget anything this time. And I was tagged by Raven Flower. Thank you, Raven. And she said, ooh, you gotta do another video for me. Well, ooh, you're just giving me an excuse to do a video, so there. Oh, that's for later. But anyway, ha! I said, tag me anytime, any day. I'll do whatever. I like tags. It's cool. I'll do it. So, this is my first tag. So, or my first tag. My tag of firsts, if you will. So, let's do this. Number 1. How did you encounter paganism, witchcraft, or magic for the first time? I think I've said it before. It started out, I just had a fascination with Harry Potter and bedknobs and broomsticks and all kinds of other old witchy media, movies, and such. And, you know, I was a Disney kid, so there was that. Loved the idea of magic, and then my aunt's friend pointed out my birthmark on my chest and said that it was a witch's birthmark, and that fascinated me, and I really delved into researching like the witch trials and everything else. Yeah, I was a very morbid child, but anyway, and then that led me to eventually one day finding paganspath.com and finding out that witchcraft was a real religion, and that all of these symbols and such that I had been studying and that I already believed to exist, it was not my imagination, and it was a real thing. So, of course, I started studying up on that. Number 2. What was your first book? So the first book that I read from cover to cover, and the first book that I actually bought, is right here. At least I think this was my first book. But Wicca, A Guide for the Solitary Practitioner by Scott Cunningham. I know it's dark, the lighting in here is horrible. But yeah, I bought this book, read it cover to cover, let some friends borrow it until it was eventually stolen from me, then I had to buy it again. Love this book, love Scott Cunningham. It smells old. Anyway, so that was my first book. What was the first spell you ever performed? First spell that I ever performed, the very first one was a little weird. I was actually discussing writing spells with a lady named Lana, on a website that I had joined. And at the time that I first started really getting into paganism, I was raising chickens for 4-H and raising them for eggs and all that, and I loved my chickens, loved my chickens. And I actually ended up writing a spell and casting it, and it was basically casting a circle around my mom's house. But it involved, I wrote it down, and I remember I actually threw it away later because I thought it was so bizarre that I used tomatoes. Like, it involved salt and like 5 rocks and slices of tomato. And my friend Lana at the time, she asked me, and she was actually an adult woman, and she said, "That's interesting. Why did you use tomato slices?" And I said, I don't know. I just kind of figured, I don't know. I just, I still to this day could not tell you why I used tomatoes. But so I wrote it down, and I had it for a while, and then later on I remember thinking, well, that's dumb. Why would I use tomatoes? Excuse me. Why would I use tomatoes in a a ritual or whatever? And later on, come to find out that back in the day when somebody didn't like a performance on stage, when they would throw tomatoes at them, that has a link because tomatoes, I guess every part of the plant but the tomato is poisonous. So every part of the plant but the actual fruit is poisonous. So I was using a plant or fruit whose plant had protective properties, and I didn't even know it. I just wanted it. But and it worked actually, so that was pretty cool. Okay, I was on 3. So 4, what was your first crystal or stone? I believe this was my first one. And that is a clear quartz. And I loved it when I saw it at the festival I got it at because, ooh, shiny. But you can see it has a chunk missing, so it's imperfect, and I fell in love with it. But it's actually got a, like you can see in here, maybe. You see it there, how it's kind of like, you can see the bottom of the crystal in there. But it's got a hole drilled in it. It was a necklace, essentially. And then I put it on this owl, which was on my, on the top of my staff that I made, or walking stick that I made. And it fell off during moving. So I'll probably put it on another wand or staff or something eventually, but it's just on my owl, and my owl sits on my shelf for now. So that was my first crystal or stone. 5. Who was the first god or goddess you encountered on your path? I still kind of worship. I was big about not giving my gods names. And I'm still kind of big about that. But Danu, or Danyu, whom my cat is named after, really started speaking to me. And she still speaks to me, and I'm just now starting to. I've just recently, even though I recognized her as being part of my life, or I recognize that name as vibrating with my idea of goddess, I am only now interested in, doing dedications and such to her. And because I'm so busy, I'm still a little bit nervous about doing dedications to her or to any specific god, because I don't want to be able to do dedications and then one day not be able to because I don't have the time or whatever. Like, I want to make sure that I can make the time to dedicate to an actual, named god or goddess. So there's that. But God, I still worship the god in an abstract way or form. Number 6. right? 5, yeah, 6. How did you first meet other pagans? Online. Online was a huge one, and I never really met anybody that I've met online, pagan-wise anyway. But through online pagans, I found out about a shop, actually, in actually not through online pagans. It was actually I've mentioned that I had a like a study group sort of in high school, and I remember we were discussing going to like different events or festivals that we found online, and we would meet at like a local park or at someone's house or whatever to plan and to study or whatever, or read or what have you, just hang out. And I remember we went to a park front in my hometown, and actually somebody overheard us, and he was pagan. Hi Lance, if you watch me, and hi Robin, if you watch me, his wife. But and I remember him telling me, or telling us actually as a group, about this shop slash it was actually a temple that I used to go to. So that's really when I started actually meeting other pagans. But I still communicate mostly online with pagans. 7. What was the first festival, meetup, or public gathering you attended? I'd say the only big pagan gathering that I've ever went to was Pagan Pride in Chillicothe. And I went to that for like the 3 years that it existed, and now it doesn't anymore. So, yeah, but I went to that. So, and it was fun while it lasted. What was the first class or workshop you took? The first class I took that was pagan related, it was probably Wicca 101. Excuse me. But it was probably Wicca 101 at the temple that I used to go to. And my plan was to take that and then have that certification from Lynn, my friend Lynn, who was the priestess, basically, of the temple. But I was going to go from that to do my my priesthood, basically, and that didn't follow through because work and school and everything else got in the way. And my actual first actual workshop was something about intuition. It was it was at a psychic expo, and it was about listening to your intuition and everything else, and it really connected with me and has stuck with me since then. Okay, number 9. What was the first chant you learned? Probably, there's a few of them because I am obsessed with pagan music. First chant that I learned. I'd say it's either gonna be Earth My Body, the old one that was Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. And then it repeats, and then there's We All Come From the Goddess, which we all come from the goddess, and to her we shall return like a drop of rain flowing to the ocean. Which I actually want to do a video on that chant later. At least I'm thinking about it, but we'll see. So anyway, it was one of those two. So yeah, but I'm obsessed with pagan music. I have so much pagan music on my phone, it's not even funny. And I'm constantly adding more. But okay, so number 10. What was your first method of divination you learned? Probably just intuition, like Raven said. I'm pretty sensitive about stuff. I don't like to talk about it a lot, but probably that. And if not that, then scrying in different forms. One of my main scrying forms that I don't do too often now because I drive a lot, but when I would ride in the car, I would look up at the sky, or if I was outside just, doing nothing, I would look up at the sky and I would kind of like cloud scry, or use the clouds to scry. And I also would use, I did that before I even knew what it was, but I would also do, like fire with a candle or in a campfire, and rarely water scrying. 11. What was your first tool? My Book of Shadows. Like, honestly, my Book of Shadows, which, by the way, if you haven't seen it in any of my videos, take some time, go back and look at it, because I have an update coming up within the next couple of months. It's overdue, and yeah. So anyway, my Book of Shadows started out as a 3-ring binder, and started out as notes. Oh, one of the swans just walked by. That's crazy. But anyway, started out with just notes and like printed out articles, and I still have some of those articles. Like if you see the printed stuff, that's usually like articles that I printed off at the very beginning and just aged the paper. But so that was my very first tool, pagan tool, if you will. And I still use it. 12. What was the first method or exercise you learned for energy work? Probably gonna be psychic shielding, like shielding psychically. Because as an empath, I think that's one of the most important things you have to learn. And I was kind of forced to learn that because I started awakening into my intuitive abilities really heavily in like junior high. So that really, and that was before I even knew there was a name for it. So that really, like, I kind of had to learn how to do that on my own, just to stay sane every day. And it's still tough. Like sometimes I still have to walk myself through it. And then 13, what is a memorable or favorite first on your path that wasn't included in the above questions? I'd say my most memorables are going to be the first time I had a spell work, which was actually the first time I cast a spell. But my second spell, which was to find my mom's dog, was a big one too that worked. And I was like, whoa, like, okay. And then also writing my own ritual and going through my self-dedication, which was my first ritual, and which I have to rewrite now because I didn't keep that. But I'd say those are my first, really good, memorable moments. So, sorry I had to take a minute to see who had done this and who hasn't yet, and I'm not even sure if these people have not done it yet, but if you have not done it, I'm calling out Scientist Witch, you're tagged, Sacred Earth Warrior, hey dude, you's tagged, Owlvine Green, good friend from Australia, you is tagged, my purple-haired beauty, Amethyst, Earthy Witch from England, you are tagged, Sagia Water, I think I pronounced that right, Sagia Water. Anyway, Sagia Water 13, you are tagged. Leather and Jade, you are tagged. NightWillowCrafts, you are tagged, my fellow Cunningham fan. And BleueAugust, you are tagged. And DesertSiren, I just saw where you just got a new camera, so you are tagged too. We're going to go ahead and put that camera to work. So I look forward to seeing your guys' videos, and blessed be, happy Beltane!